What if I was to tell you that one of the companies in Washington that attorney set up is a medical coding research company? What if I told you Obamacare was set up for one reason and one reason only, and that's to traffic children? Obamacare. That's the only reason it was set up. What if I told you that they invested so much money, they built 3 supercomputers in the university in Austin, Texas, that a mother can go to her gynecologist, find out that she's pregnant, and the moment he puts in the code, the child traffickers are following that mother, their pregnancy. They know whether she's going to get an abortion, whether she has a live birth. They follow the kid through the first few years of school. They know if it's got blonde hair, blue eyes, or red hair, green eyes, or whatever. And what if they got blood type, DNA, all your medical records? So Obamacare coding system removed doctor-patient confidentiality from the United States and the world. Don't think it just happened here. It happened all over the world in every United Nations country when that was passed. We started it. So it's a 5-digit coding system with over 80,000 codes. We call it medical kidnapping in this country. I have parents that have walked into Phoenix Children's Hospital, and they can be up there talking to their doctor. Their doctor writes stuff down in his notes. He hands it to the medical coding expert in his office. She takes it, she puts it in the computer. CPS and the Superior Court of Arizona leases space in the basement of the hospital. A red flag pops up on the CPS agent's computer down there. She has every medical record, the home address, the parent's name, everything. She can cut, paste, put it on her documents in order to remove, walk it next door to the judge, have him sign it, get in the elevator, be upstairs within 5 minutes taking the child.
On what ground?
Whatever they want to think of.
Medical.
Yeah.
I heard they lease space in every hospital.
They do.
What?
Every hospital.
Yeah, every hospital.
The courts and CPS. Every major hospital in the United States, they lease space. But let me tell you something. I'll tell you what they've told me. They told me all the evidence that we've turned in the last 3 years, it could take the military as long as 10 years just to take care of it. There's not enough people to even take care of it.
What if there were?
Sweetheart, I'm going to tell you there is. And we have a lot of help right now. And we haven't had that help for that long. And I don't really want to talk too much about it, except one-on-one in private maybe. I'll show you some things, okay? But we have a lot of help right now. I always knew there was good and evil. I always knew that when people rise into a position of power, a lot of times they get very corrupted and they start committing the 7 deadly sins, and then Satan takes over. But what I didn't know until maybe 5 or 10 years ago is that the whole world revolves around child and human trafficking. Think about what I told you about our birth certificates. We're being bought and sold legally to fund governments all over the world. This is why they can afford to be so bloated, to have agencies. They're only supposed to provide us with 19 essential governmental services and no more. They're providing us with 6,000 and forcing us to gunpoint to pay for it. But they're also using our trafficked selves, our trusts, to fund that. Here's one thing about good and evil, both. They both have to disclose ahead of time. That's the universal nature of law. They have to disclose it. And it's been disclosed for a long time. But we just never noticed. We don't pay attention. That's right. No. Plus, it's like a puzzle. Okay? They throw away the box top, and then they put one piece here and one piece here and one piece. And you got to figure out, gather up all the pieces, figure out what is a piece, gather up the pieces, and then you got to put it together to see the picture.
Of these doctors, the nurses, hospital administrators, including accessing through sources, in some cases, the bank accounts. What we discovered was really devastating. Really devastating. What we discovered, which will be presented in our video series in great detail, is that our state hospitals are the epicenter of human trafficking and baby trafficking. We can say unequivocally, this happens at Steve Biko Academic Hospital, Tembisa Academic Hospital, Tembisa Hospital, and George Macquarie Hospital. We can tell you unequivocally that involved in this is home affairs, multiple IDs, records of patients, that don't exist or disappear, babies that come in with mothers delivered twins, they're told the one twin died and the other one is trafficked. Or if they're very young, vulnerable black women, they are told that their babies have died during delivery and the babies are trafficked. We were able to, at great risk to our journalists, deep dive into the syndicates and uncover horrific stories of how these babies are trafficked from Gauteng through to Mpumalanga, through to West Africa, and also to Europe and the United States. About 50% of the babies are given for adoption. The other 50% are used for muti, cosmetic surgery, and stem cells. In some cases, the placentas are used for cosmetic and other stem cells. This has been a very dangerous investigation. Protect those that are the most vulnerable and to expose those that are the most powerful, no matter if they are politicians, no matter if they are police, no matter if they are prominent people in society. What the series will show you is the involvement through records, telephone records, messages, clinical records, audio records, video records of the involvement of very powerful people in all of this. So I want to tell you what has happened to Hosiani Sithole and the mother of these decuplets, this vulnerable, poor black woman whose story is replicated hourly, every day throughout South Africa and beyond South Africa. So what we have been able to establish unequivocally, without hesitation. I also want to tell you that we were threatened legally by the government on separate occasions, threatening brimstone and fire against us should we continue to publish the story of the decuplets. We were threatened that we would be summoned. We were threatened that they would sue us. They were threatened with all sorts of things, repeatedly, to prevent us from telling you the story. We ignored all of it. And in fact, we invited them to summons us. Because as the weeks went by, more and more pieces of the puzzle were beginning to fit into place. We invited them to comment at all times. At the beginning, they were quite verbose and made all sorts of statements publicly and everywhere. In the end, they were completely silent and refused to respond to our emails, WhatsApp messages of our journalists and others asking for comment. Suddenly they were silent. They knew, as we knew, that we are on the verge of exposing them. As to the doctors involved, some of them have fled. We know that. They're not in the country.